back on the freaking gaming channel watching Mouthwashing explained in chronological order. If you didn't watch my mouthwashing video, it was a journey. Mouthwashing was an experience. Be sure to check that video out if you haven't watched it already. Let's just get straight into it, man. I'm not scared anymore. I'm not scared anymore. That was scary. That was scary as hell. Fire game. Fire game. I like, this game did a great job of like evoking an emotion. Like, you know what I'm saying? So they did that great. Shout out the devs, bro. All right, let's go.
Through time over the course of 6 months. Let's run through the entire story in true chronological order.
All right, let's get it.
This is Mouthwashing Explained.
Talk to me.
The earliest moment in the game shows ship medic Anya completing a regularly scheduled psyche valve with Captain Curly.
Okay.
Curly reveals that he's had trouble sleeping recently, suggesting he's distracted by other thoughts. Anya says the last person she needs to evaluate is the co-pilot Jimmy, but she seems uncomfortable with the idea of interacting with him.
Okay.
She says he doesn't take the report seriously and previously reported developing a sexual interest in cartoon horses, such as the company's mascot Polly. To Anya's
Jimmy has... See, Jimmy saying that is just... Now it's like Jimmy's just a freaking weirdo, bro.
relief, Curly offers to do Jimmy's eval for her, given they are longtime associates and Curly had actually introduced Jimmy to the business. She then lets Curly know that ship engineer Swansea is looking for him.
Okay.
And makes a lighthearted joke about his angry note sounding like a fun time. On the way to the utility room...
Man, justice for my dog Swansea, bro. Bro, Swansea and Daisuke, bro. They were so tough. They were so tough. They were so tough, bro. And Anya, of course. And Anya, of course. But I'm saying like, obviously Anya goes without saying. So I'm adding on to that point. Like, bro, shout out Swansea, bro. That's my dog, bro.
Curly briefly speaks with Jimmy, who reveals that the cheerful engineer intern, Daisuke, was a late addition to the ship. Explains why there's only 4 cryostasis pods inside the utility room,
okay,
rather than the 5 needed to cover every crewmate. These could be used to keep the crew asleep for up to 20 years in case of an emergency. Curly finds Daisuke stuck in a wad of foam, which the ship auto-dispenses during emergencies in order to prevent holes from opening into space.
Okay.
Daisuke accidentally triggered it, trying to climb into and repair a collapsed ventilation shaft. Senior engineer Swansea admonishes Daisuke, then requests Curly uses Captain Pasco to unlock an axe and cut him out.
Okay.
Walking around the utility room, you can find many notes that Swansea has written for Daisuke, helping him learn the basics of ship repair. We see that despite his harsh attitude, Swansea is genuinely trying to mentor Dai, and also that Dai likes to doodle in his notes, which is pretty cute. Curly retrieves the axe, cuts out Daisuke, and then leaves the axe with Swansea.
You deserved better, bro. You deserved better, bro.
This is an important lucky tool that will come back later. On the way to the cockpit, Curly falls into a metaphorical lake of red water.
Okay.
Soon, broken ladders and warning signs appear as alarm.
Yeah, I need her to explain stuff like this.
Alarms begin blaring around him. He then walks towards what seems to be the sun. Everything goes white, excluding a single door leading into the cockpit.
Okay.
This disastrous scene foreshadows the upcoming collapse of Curly's position,
Right.
and his mental state regarding his life thus far. Curly conducts Jimmy's psyche valve in the cockpit, and they have a conversation where Jimmy reveals he likes the feeling of control he gets as a co-pilot. Which
Okay.
is super not concerning at all. Curly is happy Jimmy is doing well, given that was not
Right.
the case back on Earth. Some people theorize that Jimmy might have been a convict on Earth, and that Curly originally added him to the team to give him a fresh start at life.
Bro, you can't just like, bro, I understand looking out for your mans, but it gets to a point, bro. If he's literally a freaking convict and literally doing illegal things, it gets to a point. It gets to a point. You can't just co-sign certain stuff, bro.
Curly is shown to be very supportive and a strong believer that people can overcome their pasts. Jimmy expresses jealousy over how successful the captain is.
I mean, maybe because the captain's not a...
Both in
The captain's a bad guy too, though.
his career and how others perceive him. Curly then explains he feels unsatisfied, wanting more in life than just being a good ship captain. However, he's also afraid of starting over, of abandoning his crew and the career status he's worked so hard to reach.
Right.
Even if deep down, he feels the need to escape his life as it stands.
My mom said I watch you too much. Andrea the water nymph, do your homework. See, now like I'm showing that like I'm a good influence. You know what I'm saying? Hey, clean your bed. Under it too. Don't make me take my belt off. See. Now when you're watching me, do your homework. You know what I'm saying? We're good? You should be good now.
Jimmy describes Curly as at the top of his ladder, relating back to the previous scene, which likely represents how the need to climb a career ladder in order to feel successful in life can also make you feel trapped or hopeless.
Right.
The crash warning signs added in shows the twisting of the hierarchy Jimmy describes, again foreshadowing an upcoming event. In this way, I feel like the Blood Lake could regard Curly's anxiety about his life, or both him and Jimmy's desire to mix up the current status quo. Jimmy wants to climb higher, to have more authority, and to feel as successful as he perceives Curly to be. And Curly wants to abandon the latter altogether, realizing that happiness does not come innate with his status.
Right.
Jimmy then leaves as Curly receives a letter from
That's the letter that fired them, I'm assuming.
corporate, which is impossible to decipher during the game. We then cut to another out of
Okay, is she gonna like, take responsibility? I'm locked. Oh, 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 I'm locked.
reality scene, watching a TV inside the ship's storage area. Channels include an employee instruction video, showing the corporate process an average person may follow to be successful, having a job and a family.
It's learning. You're on thin ice, pal.
The next channel has a black hole destroying a mass in space.
No, you don't have to time them out.
Perhaps foreshadowing the upcoming destruction of the crew's current lives.
Right.
Or of some deep internal desire Curly may hold to see that destruction happen. There's a science show about the atom, talking about how everything is built on minuscule things.
Okay.
Then, there's some men hanging up meat in a small room.
Pause.
Foreshadowing again Curly's upcoming change in position on the ship. There's another cartoon, now where the company supports the intake of artificial substances in order to increase the working power of its employees.
Okay.
Then, there's a skeleton losing its limbs and collapsing.
Oh my god! Well, we know who that is.
And finally, an ad for mouthwash. Hey, they said the name of the game.
Oh, they did the thing.
Mouthwash is a substance which kills 99.9% of germs. Specifically, it relates to fire, an agent of destruction. The fine print beneath the ad even says that you should consult a medical professional before, while, and after using the product, which again is just mouthwash, and that the company holds no responsibility over any harm the product might cause.
You know, I got cyanide
This is
in
another interesting tidbit on the idea of a company not caring about the effects of its products, even in the case of the crew that they're paying to carry it. 6 days before the crash.
Okay.
The team throws Curly a birthday party, explaining that they're only allowed one group event per year and chose Curly's day to surprise him. Being captain, he does have to make the cake himself, though. The crew seems to be in good spirits, asking Curly to give a speech, although the generally happy vibes of the scene are a tad off-put by the disarmingly huge frickin' knife on the table.
I didn't even peep that jaunt was that big because I was too busy being terrified of what was going to happen next. I spent the entire game stressed. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm gonna take every moment that I can to say this. I'm not built for horror games, bro. I'm not. I need a break. I need 7 days. I'm gonna continue to play them. Y'all like them, and I like giving that to y'all. You know what I'm saying? But fuck!
Curly then reveals that they will all be laid off after the completion of the mission, something which he was told to inform them of closer to the end, but that he felt they had a right to know. Swansea reacts unsurprised. Anya panics, thinking of her economic future. Daisuke remains silent, and Jimmy immediately begins throwing his
crashing.
Anger out on Curly, blaming him for this decision which he had no control over.
None.
Claiming he must be happy to be able to rid himself of his responsibilities without guilt. Jimmy berates every crew member one by one and
for no reason. Jimmy's annoying because he's nothing but a projector, bro. He has everything to say about everyone else, but when someone presses him, oh, it's not my fault. How dare you this? How dare you that? I'll fix this. I always do. Shut up.
Refuses to acknowledge Curly's pain in the situation. Jimmy displays his habit of forcing his own securities into the mouths of others, describing the crew as dirt beneath Curly, showing how much he idolizes the captain's position and despises himself, villainizing Curly using his own internal dialogue. Curly cuts the birthday cake as the face value happiness of the crew breaks down. 2 days prior, Curly and Anya have a late-night discussion in front of the lounge's moonlit sky screen. Anya points out a broken pixel on the screen, describing
does that represent something?
How it's always in the back of her mind. Curly, on the other hand, waves it by, claiming that one little issue won't break the illusion, a reference perhaps to the illusion of peace among the crew.
Oh, see, I'm not catching that.
In reveals, he prefers to see the larger picture. This conversation illustrates the difference between Anya and Curly. Curly is able to look past problems in hopes of preserving
Anya has to hyperfixate on problems.
A happy appearance, while Anya is forced to acknowledge the effect even a seemingly small error can have on something.
Right.
She still likes
What's good, J99?
the overall display though. showing her desire to be able to look past the worst aspects of something. Anya then considers the fact that there are still 8 months left on their journey, and questions why the company would put locks on the med bay, but not on the bedrooms. This fact, alongside many
That was such a crazy foreshadow, bro. I didn't even pick that up.
posters hung around the ship detailing how the crew would be docked for using medical supplies, shows that the company cares more about protecting its financial assets than the crew itself.
Right.
On my first playthrough, it was only after she asked this question that I really realized that Anya's the only woman on the ship.
Yeah.
Which is pretty scary to think about.
That's terrible.
Curly responds that obviously it's for safety reasons, not even seeming to realize what Anya is suggesting here. This really goes to show that while Curly often has best intentions for his crew, he has a naivety about his perspective on things.
Yeah.
One day before the crash,
Right.
Curly starts out in the med bay, and it's of note that Anya has a book entitled Up or Down, The Illusion of Choice sitting on her counter. This could be representing her feelings of a lack of control in her environment and a desire to
100%.
regain some. Curly discovers Anya has taken the ship's locked gun case and finds her crouched in the cockpit, clearly panicked. She reveals that she is pregnant and that Jimmy is the father.
I've already played it. And I already know, but it still is just disgusting, bro.
We now know that Anya was unable to protect herself without dorm locks and was assaulted.
Oh! Oh! Oh my god! Yeah! Yes, you can't. I didn't think about that! Oh my god!
How many times is unclear by Jimmy. Assuming she was pregnant for a period before finding out, and given the 8 remaining months of the mission, Anya would have to give birth on the ship.
On the ship, and that's why she pointed out 8 months. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it.
Making the assault undeniable, or conduct an unsafe abortion. Anya says she's hidden the gun case, which she could not open herself, so that Jimmy could not get to it, clearly afraid that he would use it in an attempt to remedy the situation. Curly explains that he will do anything to help her, which is funny because he would not give her the gun to protect herself.
And he also was gonna try to cover up her freaking abuser. So what are you talking about? You would do anything.
In his first instinct,
Fake ass mummy, colossal titan looking ass nigga, peeled potato looking ass nigga.
to try to solve the problem was just to talk it out with Jimmy. Interestingly, when Curly asks her who did this, Anya responds, "I told you." After which Curly understands immediately that it was Jimmy. The implication being that Curly was aware, in some degree, of the uncomfortable situation between Anya and Jimmy. Yet up until this point has emphasized keeping the peace over Anya's safety.
Right.
In this way, he's taken away her voice, and kind of left her at the disposal of Jimmy. Curly says that the entire crew, including Anya, is his responsibility.
Well, you
And
suck.
yet he refuses to do what needs to be done. He refuses to help her protect herself. He refuses to stop believing that Jimmy can be better. The day of, Anya, emotionally distressed, having told Jimmy that she was pregnant and having received an unsettling response, is bent over
And she just has to do her job too, bro. Like, wait, oh my god.
the med bay bed, which seems to have a little drawer beneath it, but more on that later. It doesn't feel safe.
A lot of people
Seems to have a
love
little drawer beneath
Curly because of what he looks like. Well, we know what the people who love Curly look like. That's not surprising information.
it, but more on that later. It doesn't feel safe whatsoever with Jimmy on board. And Curly once again tries to take responsibility over the situation by just talking to Jimmy. Curly insists he will fix everything to Jimmy, who understands that his life will be ruined when they land as he will be charged for the assaults. Jimmy has a doomsday mindset at this point, expressing desire to end everything now by crashing the ship so that they can still be simply tragic victims of a horrible accident and
Instead of freaking predators.
nothing has to come to light. He appeals to Curly by saying that he will also lose all of his status. It is just as guilty, having allowed the situation to get to this point.
Right. He would rather crash the entire ship than get a dock on his freaking performance for allowing this to happen. That's so crazy to me, bro.
Conversation is so psychologically charged as Jimmy is continuing to push responsibility.
Although Jimmy sucks, he's a well-written character. No, every single character in this game is well written. This is a great story. This was a great story.
For something he's done unto others. Curly did fail as a captain by not truly acting on Anya's concerns. Instead of being able to push past any mistake prevented him from fully acknowledging the problems occurring on his ship. Jimmy is still entirely responsible for his actions. for assaulting Anya, for being unable to control his emotions, for forcing his beliefs onto others. In this case, both parties have played a part in the grand scheme, making Curly an interesting dynamic character. He's not a hero, he's not a villain. His actions have a very—
He's overly a villain. And enabling is dang near, it's not the same as committing the crime, of course, obviously, but you are held to a certain extent of guilt by enabling things. Like, nah, but no, he's a freaking villain. He's a freaking villain.
Human complexity to them. He shows trying to do the right thing and accepting responsibility, but in a naive way that ignores the overall issues. Jimbo, on the other hand, is a flaming trash rat. At this point, Jambalaya suggests crashing the ship as a solution, tells Curly he'll fix everything, and then walks into the cockpit. Curly doesn't try to stop him
at all.
Are we meant to think that Curly didn't understand what he was about to do?
That he was gonna crash the freaking ship?
This moment is the most crazy to me, as it seems like the final moment of just letting it happen that Curly commits. His greatest moment of weakness was allowing Jimmy to get into his head the idea of dying a hero, of not having to think about his life's meaning anymore.
Right, and then just being able to do any... That's so... Yo, how many people do you think have gone out like that? Like, of all the, like, you know what I'm saying? Well, I mean, a lot of the heroes that we have in American history were also scumbags. We know that. Christopher Columbus, like, all that. But, like, how many people that do you think that we understand as good were actually not that? That's, like, really crazy to think about, because how the hell would anyone know? How the hell would anyone know?
Hesitates. He lets Jimmy enter the cockpit, and the introduction scene of the game plays out. Jimmy sets the ship to crash into an asteroid, disables autopilot, and dooms them all.
That's so insane. Whole time, I'm thinking something went haywire with the ship. No, it's because someone's friend couldn't keep it in their pants and then they wanted to cover it up. So crazy, bro.
Only after the warnings go off does Curly realize what he's just done and runs to the cockpit, where his body takes the full hit of the collision.
Right.
We can note that during the hallway scene in the game's intro, when Jimmy is—
Okay, please, tell me what this means.
hallucinating being chased by the Pony Express mascot, baby crying can be heard, foreshadowing the
Baby crying. Wow. They thought of everything. Oh my God!
pregnancy, an upcoming connection between the mascot and responsibility. 2 months after the crash, the crew is stranded in space, the ship now half filled with emergency foam. They sit in the lounge discussing whether or not they should break into the cargo room. They've withheld up until this point.
And Jimmy's just freaking there. Yeah, what do we do? Like, you don't know.
Entering would dock additional pay from their final checks if they're saved, which would really go to show how much they acknowledge that the company gives no craps about them, given that even in a survival situation, they would still dock
Y'all didn't deserve this.
their pay. It's interesting to point out that the Pony Express was an actual mail service that ran for only 18 months starting in the 1860s, where a train of horse riders would carry mail from America's east to west coast in only 10 days. The company preferred to hire orphans or people who wouldn't be missed given how dangerous the job was. They went bankrupt quickly following improvements in
and that's why they go to space.
the telegraph system. They finally agree, giving their steadily dwindling supplies. Anya asks Jimmy, who has proclaimed himself to be the new captain, to get the captain's scanner from the cockpit, which is necessary to unlock the cargo room. Jimmy visits the medbay first, finding Curly, who everyone besides him believes is the one who crashed the ship. Curly's body is horribly maimed, covered in burns. He has lost his limbs, his lips, and his eyelids, removing his ability to talk and immobilizing him. He has hence gone from an active player in the story to a forced viewer, unable to close his eyes or look away as the scenes
He can't close his eyes. It's crazy.
unfold. Jimmy berates a clearly nervous Anya for
How the fuck could he talk to her like that, bro?
being unable to feed Curly his painkillers, which he claims is her only job. He suggests she is a useless nurse and views her as
Like, bro.
cowardly and bothersome. His opinion of her is given to the player, as the scene is played at the beginning of the game. This skewed perspective defines the player's initial idea of Anya,
Yeah.
without knowing their relationship. Her attempts to awkwardly
You don't know any... Yeah, I knew no better.
suck up to Jimmy, and her need for help with the emotionally draining task of force-feeding the crying Curly painkillers.
He just berates her.
Makes it seem like she's just a nervous person. In reality, of course, Anya is acting to avoid retaliation from her abuser,
Yes.
for whom she has no protection, and at the same time has been caring for her and successfully keeping Curly alive.
And she's freaking talking about sorry and all... Oh my God, bro. Poor girl, dude.
Despite his horrendous condition for 2 months now. All this while at least 2 months pregnant. Both general nausea and a personal trauma with the act of forcing another person into an unwanted act, especially the act of forced insertion, such as feeding him the pills, easily explains her behavior. Her job is both insane and hugely time-consuming. Jimmy, on the other hand, has been playing captain, which on a crashed ship means what exactly?
Yeah, nothing.
Jimmy gives Curly the painkillers, then finds Anya crouching in the lounge, distressed by Curly's pained sounds.
Ugh, I hated that every time.
Jimmy seems to question why they're either bothering to use the medical supplies on Curly. Well, Anya explains that she believes a person is not defined by their worst moment, expressing a desire to forgive Curly for nearly killing them. Jimmy then suggests that they agreed to keep Curly alive for different reasons. His, you can imagine, is far less kind. Jimmy leaves to go talk to Swansea, who's forbidden everyone from entering the utility room, claiming that it is full of emergency foam which he has to slowly clear out, that if anyone else goes in there they could cause a puncture and send them all into the void of space. I'm honestly kind of surprised how Jimmy follows Swansea's ruling on this, even when he's not actively
considering he's a raging freaking narcissist.
Guarding the door. Game-wise, it makes sense, but I feel it might also hint towards the fact that Jimmy holds some amount of respect for each member of the crew, excluding Anya, who he tends to ignore. Jimmy retrieves the scanner and opens the cargo room. The crew is distressed to find that they are hauling exclusively mouthwash, hit with the dark reality that over a year of their lives was going to be spent moving such an insignificant thing, and now they are likely to die for it as well. Understandably makes everyone pretty upset. Anya points out that the sugar content intended to make the mouthwash more palatable offsets the effectiveness of it as a disinfectant. Swansea immediately notes the ethanol content and breaks his 14-year sobriety streak by drinking some, to Anya's dismay. Swansea offers to teach Daisuke how to drink like a man, having a somewhat strange little fatherly moment together. The crew's reactions are telling.
Oh, drink like a man, I get it.
Of their character. Swansea is cynically accepting of the whole situation. Daisuke continues to joke lightly, still having confidence that they might be saved. And Anya is extremely distressed. I do wonder if she is simply mourning the loss of hope the unopened cargo had given her, or if she's panicking over the addition of alcohol into her already perilous situation. 3 months post-crash. Jimmy wakes up in the lounge next to Daisuke.
Yeah, Carly's tweaking in the back.
Where the crew has become sleeping as the dorms have been blocked off by foam. You can hear Curly's pained sounds happening in the background. It's fun to note that Daisuke has a Game Boy and 2 weights near his bed, kinda showing his still somewhat childish interests.
You didn't deserve that, bro. You didn't deserve that, bro.
Looking around the lounge, you can also find an active game of Sorry, which has pieces associated to each of the crew. Blue for Anya, green for Jimmy, pink for Daisuke, and yellow for Swansea.
Okay.
It's notable that Curly does not have a piece, which could represent the fact that he's no longer an active member of the story. There is a common social trend of disabled people being infantilized, to be viewed as a not fully matured person.
Better be playing Link's Awakening. Daisuke strikes me as like a Pokemon Emerald type. I don't know.
Once Curly loses his agency, his ability to move and communicate, he is at the will of the rest of the crew. Even to the player who was introduced to Curly the patient long before Curly the captain, he may be thought of as more of an object than a person. The game even has an achievement for opening and closing Curly's mouth several times in a row, knowing that a lot of people would immediately play with his face.
Ew, I didn't do that.
Jimmy feels like he has the right to do whatever he wishes with Curly now that he is a liability. This includes beating him, carrying him around, and force-feeding him.
What? When did he do that?
Curly's situation is so tragic as he transitions from being an in-charge person to at the mercy of the thoughts and actions of those around him. As far as Jimmy is concerned, Curly is a prop to be used to satisfy his own desires to save someone, to act as a good captain and a hero. Curly serves as just another example of control in the game, and what it can look like to have none. In this way, he mirrors Anya's situation, as she was also ignored and left at the mercy of Jim, and now Curly has to experience that himself. Jimmy wants to check with Anya if Curly is already at his...
Anya told him here. Anya, that's what they were talking about. See, when I'm in the game, I forget. Anya told him about it in here.
Painkillers. He ends up finding...
No, I completely understand.
Anya and Swansea in the cockpit having a late-night discussion. Anya is crying and telling Swansea she completely understands, which I take to mean they're discussing the cryo chamber pods in the foamed-up utility room. But more on that later.
Oh, never mind.
Jimmy asks if...
You remember when Curly was screaming when the screen was black that one time? Jimmy was beating his ass. I thought he was just giving him freaking medicine, bro.
Curly has been given his pills today, and he insists that he be the one to give them to him this time.
It was here! He's about to beat his ass right now! I said I'll do it. That's why he was so insistent upon doing it.
On returning to the med bay, Jimmy expresses concern over how the rest of the crew is perceiving him, likely assuming that Anya and Swansea were discussing him.
Right.
He gets upset at the stress of being in charge.
And then he takes it out on he takes it out on the singular only person who loved him. Really think about that. The only person that was on his side.
Angrily thanks Curly as if it's his fault that Jimmy had to take charge.
Jimmy goes against anyone except Swansea, yeah. Unless Jimmy has a gun, and that's when he goes against Swansea.
He feeds the panicked Curly the pills, the audio suggesting he possibly beats him to vent
It wasn't a strong enough suggestion, or I'm an idiot. I didn't catch that, I'm not gonna lie.
his frustration.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Wow, bro. Wow. See, the way I thought he was just like, I thought he was gagging. He started crying after. Yo, Jimmy's like a bottom feeder. He's a bottom feeder, bro.
4 months after the crash, Jimmy finds Daisuke passed out in the hallway, having drunken some mouthwash. Daisuke explains that his mom found him this internship.
Curly deserved some form of punishment, but what he got was so over the top. Eating your own leg is crazy.
And that he joined because thus far in his life, he feels like he hasn't succeeded in anything with no...
To be honest, I don't think Jimmy got enough. He got to do all of that, feel like a hero because he put Curly in the pod, and then he got to shoot himself in GTA or in Mouthwashing. Like... like, bro, that's so not fair, bro.
Goal in life, he hoped to prove something in completing the job, to make himself feel like less of a total screw-up. This reveals the sadness behind Daisuke's sunshine persona. While an upbeat voice thus far in the game, Daisuke never had a positive self-image.
I'm not saying his name either.
He cares strongly about what others think of him, which has resulted in him being easily influenced. Even so far as to start drinking.
Why didn't he get tormented by Cassidy? Yeah, no cat. Yeah, no cat, bro. No cat. Yeah, put him in a spring lock, bro. Put him in a spring lock, bro.
The mouthwash.
That was fire. That was funny.
Alongside Swansea. Daisuke is a relatable character, someone who's just trying to get positivity out of a horrible situation, which makes it all the more sad that at this point it seems like he's also accepted that they're going to die.
Give Jimmy a grab pack and put him in the Playtime factory, bro.
He ends by saying that he hopes his mother doesn't blame herself. Jimmy finds Anya in the lounge, who herself is considering drinking the mouthwash. She tells Jimmy that there's an additional stash of painkillers on a wall-mounted med box. However, they'd have to chop away at some foam to reach it, so they need to be very careful as to not cause a breach. To retrieve the axe from Swansea, who was dancing drunkenly in front of the giant monitor. Swansea gives up the axe by swinging it into the monitor, causing a giant crack to form in the sunset display, this being another act of foreshadowing for a future event. Jimmy takes the axe and successfully reaches the med box. Anya comes over and gives him a big cheer for it, almost as if it was his own plan. This is likely for 2 reasons. A, she knows that Jimmy feeling like he is contributing
makes him less likely to crash because he's a fucking baby.
Increases the chances of him becoming angry, truly at himself, but of course he pushes his stress outwards onto others. And B, to warm him up to be requested to give Curly his pills again.
What a loser, bro.
Something that is still a major emotional struggle for Anya. Point is at least 5 months pregnant, so you could assume gruesome tasks are getting only more difficult for her to stomach. Jimmy blows up on her, ignoring the situation.
And he still blows up on her, and she did all of that, and I hate this nigga, bro. I hate him. Hear me out. The axe breaking the screen probably shows how the team is cracking even more. Like when Anya mentioned 1 pixel on the screen being off. That's not a crazy theory, Evie.
Entirely his fault, and claiming that unlike everyone else, he is actually trying to fix the situation. He lists through a sequence of tasks he's done, totaling a stunning of 5.
The captain had to do things. What a shocker.
Over the course of 5 months, and all of which were actually Anya's ideas. The emphasis being, of course, that he has not done anything himself, yet claims he is taking full responsibility as the new captain of the ship. Jimmy feeds Curly his pills, telling him he now realizes how hard it is to be in charge.
Oh my god, bro. I had to grab an axe and get this. The fuckers made me use it. Oh, I had to get an axe and then use it on foam. Whew.
Charge and promises to save them both. 5 months after the crash,
5
Daisuke wakes
months,
Jimmy, frantic
bro.
as Anya and Curly are trapped inside the med bay by a large door. Anya reveals to Jimmy that she has purposely sealed the door, telling Jimmy, "You were right. I should have done this all along." We can assume whatever she's about to do is what Jimmy told her to in response to learning she was pregnant. Anya wishes she could keep believing that a person's worst moments do not define them, a saying which I believe she was trying to embrace in order to make living alongside Jimmy all this time bearable. As what else could she do in this contained space but force
Nothing.
herself to move past what happened?
Literally nothing.
But in the end she couldn't. How could anybody? She laments that this is the best decision she has ever made, and that she is going to take care of it. Her character arc began as someone who has no control over their situation,
And then now she has control in this situation.
who could only try to manage how she reacted to the horrors pushed upon her. Now, she's finally able to make a decision for herself.
Yeah, right.
Jimmy convinces Daisuke that they must enter the utility room despite Swansea's guarding, in order to climb into the broken ventilation shaft and
Daisuke, don't do it, bro.
crawl into the med bay, opening the door from the inside. Daisuke is hesitant out of fear of messing up again, but gives in to save his crewmates. Jimmy pointedly says, "We can save Curly, yeah?" Interested in leaving out the saving Anya as well. Jimmy convinces Daisuke that they must drug Swansea with a spiked cocktail in order to get past him. He assures him that he will wake up perfectly fine and likely won't remember anything. One could wonder if his confidence about this comes from having used this method previously.
Oh, do y'all think he did that before? Do y'all think he did that before? Do y'all think he did that before? I didn't think about that. 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 Oh my God. That was the detail I was gonna tell you. Yeah, that. Cause what? Who here knows how to make a spiked drink? Like, that's not common knowledge. That's not common knowledge, man.
While you're in the lounge building the cocktail, if you check the Sorry board, you can see that the blue pieces have been knocked over. An additional gamey note, Daisuke teleports behind the player constantly while he's making the cocktail, and this is to avoid having to animate locomotion, which requires a lot of tech support
Yeah.
to get to look not slidey all over the floor. There's only one other case in the game in which someone is seen traveling, and it's kind of misty, just kind of fun to think about.
Yeah, that scared me. Every time a character moved behind my back, it reminded me of the Weeping Angels mechanic, and I hated it.
This next scene is another out-of-reality scene between Jimmy and Curly. I wasn't exactly sure where it happened at the timeline,
This scene scared the hell out of me.
but the Sorry game is in a similar state, so I decided to talk on it here. Curly explains that life has ups and downs, and that the good parts are only
I'm gonna turn the camera off so I'm not in the way.
good as a result of the bad parts being bad.
Right.
Therefore, we just have to learn to appreciate the little alright moments and keep moving forward. Jimmy leaves to find a knife to cut the cake, walking through the ruined and dark ship, which has been filled with tall piles of mouthwash. He grabs the axe, which has been lodged into the pilot seat of the bloodied cockpit. The axe is interestingly stuck in the chair that Curly sat in during their evaluation earlier. The scene
Oh, I didn't even notice the eyes.
feels like Jimmy's mind trying to justify his action, using Curly's own words to specifically validate the horrible things he has and will do to him. At the same time, he is under extreme pressure knowing that Curly, the very ideal of what he wanted in life, is watching everything he does. Jimmy's perception of Curly is hence stuck, with a rage-inducing despising of how he is above Jimmy, fighting a
Like,
respect for Curly's opinions and a guilt for what he's done. Swansea, who is still drunk, refuses to let them into the utility room. Before drinking the cocktail, he tells Daisuke that he's an idiot, a failure of an engineer, and that every act of hard work he puts into the job will only result in him becoming uglier, older, and meaner. Swansea is obviously pushing his own insecurities onto Daisuke, likely
Right.
insulting his naivety and good nature, while actually mourning his own lack of joy for life. At the same time, this suggests he is actually concerned that Daisuke may befall the same fate as him.
he's gonna, like, yeah, in his own, like, twisted way. Like, obviously, Swansea needs freaking therapy, but, like, yo, he cared about bro.
And that while he's horrible at expressing himself, he wishes Dai could keep his spirit. Some people have suggested Swansea and Daisuke share some sort of a father-son bond, or that Swansea relates Daisuke to the dog photo he has on his desk. Daisuke doesn't respond to the insults, seeming to have a hard time verbalizing when faced with complex negative emotions, similar to his silence at the birthday party company closure news. The only time we see his sadness otherwise is when he's drunk on mouthwash.
Right.
Swansea drinks the cocktail, then Dai and Jimmy enter the utility room over a passed-out Swansea. Interestingly, his room key has a dead goose keychain
Yeah,
on
I
it.
was wondering about
Dead
that.
birds in general tend to represent failure and hopelessness.
Really? I didn't know that.
White ones in particular, the loss of innocence. The goose
Oh, Yo-Yo fixed this. Yo, actually, this is one situation where I wish I could. I would put straight belt to ass with Jimmy, bro. I'm bending him over my knee and spanking his butt, bro, on everything I love. So actually, this is one situation where I would fix it, bro. Bro, you telling me and Swansea can't jump him? You telling me and Swansea? All right, bro.
itself may relate to the idiom, kill the goose that lays the golden egg, which describes killing or destroying something
Jimmy
beneficial
was
by
gentle
demanding too much of
parented.
it. All of these aspects may relate to Swansea's view on Daisuke as something pure he doesn't want to get ruined. Or they could foreshadow the death of Daisuke's willingness to help and desire to please others as a result of somebody asking too much of him. Daisuke and Jimmy enter the utility room to discover that it had never been filled with foam at all. However, only one of the 4 cryo chambers is still functioning.
A part that pissed me off about this scene, now that I'm thinking about it, thinking back at it, Jimmy is more mad that Swansea was hiding the little freezing chamber thing from them than he was at the fact that Anya's literally currently actively in a room right now. You know what I'm saying? Even after it happened, even after I'm saying his name, my fault. Even after Swansea did what he had to do to, you know what I mean? I'm not going to spoil it. Jimmy, he was still mad. He was still more mad about this than he was about anything else. That's crazy to me, bro.
Entering one would freeze a person for 20 years, significantly increasing their chances of being found and rescued. Despite Jimmy's claims that Swansea was clearly trying to hide the pod so that he could use it for himself after everyone else had died, Daisuke refuses to believe that Swansea would do that, instead applauding his work and clearing out the area. I believe Swansea was protecting the pod, but with the intention of saving it for Dai, or perhaps the pregnant Anya. Given his acceptance of death and his dislike for how his own life turned out, it's unlikely he would care to steal the only one for himself. The conversation Anya and Swansea were having in the cockpit that night may very well have been Swansea explaining his plan and wanting to see Anya's opinion.
Right.
Her cut-off line, if I understand completely, may have been her accepting that Dai should be the one to take the pod, as
They wanted to give the... Right.
the youngest and most likely to overcome this traumatic experience. Jimmy and Daisuke look to the collapsed vent,
You didn't deserve this!
which is clearly rife with open electrical wires, sharp metal, and tight spaces.
Like, who co-signed?
Dai, again expressing his respect for Swansea, wishes to wait to ask him how to best go about this.
Mind you, estrogen can definitely fit in that vent. Y'all know who I'm referencing when I call him that.
But Jimmy convinces Dai that he must climb into the vent now to save the others. He appeals to Daisuke's desire to please by telling him how sure he is that he can succeed, that Swansea will be proud, that the whole crew is counting on him. At this point, you may wonder, why can't Jimmy just go into the vent?
Mommy issues can definitely fit in the freaking vent.
The very reason for Anya to lock herself away was Jimmy after all, and so it would make perfect sense for him to climb in. And of course, it's because he's a selfish coward whose greatest desire in life is to force others to handle all his problems. So, Daisuke gets into the vent.
You didn't deserve that, bro. You didn't deserve that, bro. You didn't deserve that, bro.
And very quickly his pained screams echo into the room, followed by the sound of him entering the medbay and calling out to Anya.
And he had to see it too, bro. He had to see it too, bro.
8 hours until judgment. Via a bloody path and a lower to the ground red handprint, we see that Daisuke dragged his now punctured body through the medbay to unlock the door. Jimmy and the awakened Swansea bring him out to the lounge. Daisuke repeatedly apologizes while beating.
Oh, he's so, oh my god, bro. Oh my god.
Out, terrified of either disappointing or bothering other people.
Bro, you're fine.
Swansea requests the extra disinfectant from the wall med box. However, Jimmy had to use it in order to make the drugged cocktail, and proceeds to blame Swansea for forcing Jimmy to have to have drugged him. Just one of the most insane responsibility pushes to date on Jimmy's ever drugged him.
What are you saying? That was your fault. Yo, wasted sperm is pissing me off. Wasted sperm is pissing me off. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Just one of the most insane responsibility pushes to date on Jimmy's ever-growing list. They split up to search for alternatives. At this point, the pink piece of the sorry game has been knocked over.
Who was in the writer's room? Yo, they thought of everything. I understand why this game has such a cult following. I get it. 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 Yeah. Wow, bro. Wow.
When entering the medbay, Jimmy's vision of Anya on the medbay floor is completely obscured, showing his refusal to acknowledge her.
That's why you can't see it. Right. That's why you can't see. Wow. That makes sense. Coward, bro.
And what he has caused entirely. Jimmy then heads to storage to retrieve some mouthwash to disinfect Daisuke, and enters a guilt-ridden hallucination. He passes by Daisuke's grave, marked by one of the pink hibiscus flowers from his shirt, which are known to represent happiness, sunshine, and good luck.
This scared the hell out of me.
He follows a path of blood into a boss monster maze of storage platforms. Here, he has to quietly navigate the area, avoiding a blind beast that is only visible through the captain's scanner.
I saw the beast like twice. I couldn't look around, bro. I was too scared.
The monster is a horrifying horse with an incredibly long neck.
I thought it was a giraffe.
Which the game describes as aimless, restless. You can't run from it. Reminiscent of the internet myth Long Horse, which warns humans of danger. In this instance, the horse is likely a metaphor for Jimmy's rejection of responsibility and feelings of guilt. Jimmy actively attempts to avoid its attention via staying silent until it moves away, mirroring his avoidance of accepting responsibility. This also explains why you can only see it through the captain's scanner, which, being captain in itself, is supposed to represent someone who's supposed to be taking charge. The eyeless creature cannot see Jimmy if he stays silent, much like Jimmy refuses to see Anya. Jimmy retrieves the mouthwash and pours it onto the heavily pained Daisuke, who continues to apologize and proclaim that he messed up. This moment could emphasize that
you're fine, bro. Don't let your last words be "I'm sorry, bro."
Daisuke's insecurities.
Oh my God!
Also point out his youth.
I gotta know. I have to know. If his age breaks my heart, this will fuck me up. How old was Daisuke in Mouthwashing? 19 to 23. Jesus, bro. Wow, man. Wow. My God, bro.
Someone like a child whose first instinct is to apologize when faced with something going wrong.
Wow, bro.
Swansea reveals his desire to have learned from Daisuke, who he admits is just a good kid trying his best, despite not being the smartest.
All of this because Ware's skinny jeans wanted him to hop through the fucking vent, bro. That's insane to me.
Or the most hardworking. He mourns a world in which Daisuke could have helped him find joy again. Also, side note, Swansea's hands look tiny here, don't they? Everyone else's hands are humongous comparatively, especially Anya's look huge.
Yeah, her hands, wait, does that mean something?
Every time she lifts him up. And Swansea's got little baby hands here, just gonna freaking side note that.
Oh, I thought she was gonna say that meant something, the hands of Swansea were small because he didn't want to get his hands dirty. I don't know. God, I hate dropped babies so much. Bro, Dallas Cowboys fan is a bitch, bro. I swear to God. I can't. No.
Swansea then swings the axe down on Daisuke's head,
No.
fulfilling the earlier foreshadowing of him destroying the sunrise on a large screen.
I know you're lying. Oh my God. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Wow. Wow. Wow.
Daisuke's head, fulfilling the earlier foreshadowing of him
Please don't show
destroying
me.
the sunrise on a large
I
screen.
can't. I don't want to look at it.
This is the game's only example of a mercy killing, and one of many examples of Jimmy yelling about how he was gonna fix everything despite not having done anything,
Shut
or
up!
move to stop Swansea despite a hesitation in the swing. Jimmy reveals that he knows about Swansea's plan to hog the pod for himself, which he refuses to even consider was not in fact the plan.
Yeah, because to him, everyone is just as selfish, but no, dickhead, he was keeping it for Die.
Since he himself would have absolutely done that. And Jimmy can never pass up on an opportunity to push his own concepts onto others. Swansea reveals he knows about the sexual assaults. I've seen a lot of people online claim that if Swansea had known about the assaults, he would have put an end to Jimmy right away, which is clearly not the case. He did know. Again, showcasing the complexity of people. Swansea is not a secretly heroic father figure hiding behind.
He's an old drunk who he explained exactly who he was as a character, bro. Hey yo, on the 8th I tried to, oh wow. And my ex called the cops and got me put in the hospital. I got out on the 13th. Since then, I've been feeling worse than ever when I got in. I'm not sure what to do, to be honest, at this point. I might try to, or I have been some of my biggest support. Bro, please get help. Please. I'm really honored that I'm able to like help you in some kind of way, but please, like, you don't have to do that, man. You really don't. I don't really know much what else to say because like, I'm really bad at this type of stuff, but like, if you have someone to talk to, please talk to them. And like your life is worth living, bro. I promise.
An illusion of alcoholism. He's a messed up guy who in the end still acts on his own desires. He didn't confront Jimmy. He didn't try to work alongside the crew for solutions over the last few months. He took out his frustration on how his own life went on Daisuke all the time, similar to how Jimmy does to Curly now.
Right.
At the same time, I truly believe he was saving that pod for Daisuke. He made moves in the interest of somebody else, and deep down he hoped things could get better. It's interesting to note that after that scene, if you go back to the sorry board, Daisuke's pieces aren't knocked over anymore. Anya's still are, though. I'm not sure if this is just a game error on the developer's path, or perhaps a message that the following events aren't actually part of reality and this is still like a skewed experience, but just interesting to point out. We now see that Anya committed suicide via overdose. Her earlier reference of doing what you said to likely means that Jimmy's immediate reaction to learning that she was pregnant was around the lines of, can't you just take some pills and handle it? Either way, Anya...
That would be something that Socks and Sandals would say. That would be something that he would say.
Got the final say in how she died. And once again, Jimmy's problem was handled by someone else's sacrifice. Interestingly, the gun drawer built into the bed is open besides Anya. You can remember that she was kneeling in front of it the day she told Jimmy about the pregnancy.
Yep.
Given she was the only one who knew where she hid it, she may have taken one last crack at opening it before turning to pills. Or perhaps she left it as a final good grace to Curly, so that he had an out if he was somehow able to access it.
Yeah.
Or even, perhaps it was a message to Jimmy, that Curly's life these last few months was pure agony, and that someone needed to take responsibility and end it now that she was gone.
Do you start
Curly
laughing?
begins to laugh, or possibly sob, as Jimmy takes the gun. Forced to watch as it ends up in the very hands Anya hid it away from.
Right.
The next series of events is a little unclear. It seems Swansea attacks Jimmy with the axe, chasing him into the cockpit at one point and bursting through the window.
That scared the hell out of me.
Somewhere around here, we enter a hallucinatory journey through the ventilation, in which the game instructs Jimmy to take responsibility for what happened to Daisuke. Jimmy passes by a workstation with Daisuke and his game.
Oh, each boss was a person that I had. Wait. Take responsibility for Daisuke was the first one. Take responsibility for Swansea was the second one. Take responsibility for Anya was the third one. And then I don't remember what. Take responsibility for Curly was when I was like feeding him his own freaking body, but
Game pieces on it. Daisuke's is knocked over as to represent Jimmy's direct hand at his death. Swansea's piece is noted. We see a specter of Daisuke looking up at his shadow before walking away, replaced by another hibiscus. In one section of the vents, Jimmy is forced to walk backwards. He once again abuses Curly's advice to keep moving forward by choosing to ignore the small collection of Daisuke's items on the ground. Even attempting to look at them while walking away forces Jimmy to start over. The distorted image which covers the screen with each failure might be Swansea's face. And we can note Swansea's character model lodged behind a specific grate.
Oh, really?
Jimmy falls through a pit beside a grave, flying past tons of poly posters which have been modified to include blood, mouthwash, and axes. Jimmy then falls into a sideways version of the medbay, where tons of axes lodged into the wall point into the vent. This could imply Swansea chased him into the vent in the last scene, forcing him to repeat the crawling travel he made Daisuke do. At one point, an axe flies through the vent wall, possibly representing the thing that Daisuke stabbed himself on, or Swansea taking a swing at the vent knowing that Jimmy was in there. Jimmy crawls until finally landing in the utility room, before a gun and a tied-up Swansea. Using the gun on Swansea triggers another out-of-reality scene, in which the two fight each other inside of a large crypt devoted to Daisuke.
Ugh, that shit was scary!
After successfully shooting Swansea 3 times in the head, we cut to Jimmy and him talking. This time Swansea is sat in a chair but does not appear to be tied down. Swansea explains that he was once a hopeless drunk clawing through life, until one day he foresaw his own death in an abandoned ditch and got sober. He got a wife, a job, and kids, and hoped to give them more than he had. He laments that even as he gained the good things in life, he never felt satisfied.
As good as he did when he was drunk.
In the end, he says the best days of his life were before all the grinding and the routine, when his life was dirty and rough and cruel, and the only problem he had was an empty bottle.
Yeah.
This monologue relates to Curly's previous concerns about feeling unsatisfied in his life, even after achieving such great heights.
Bro, that is such a terrifying concept. That is such a scary concept. I was like, I hate complaining about my problems in front of you guys because I do know I'm blessed to be a content creator. But content creation does come with its own issues. And one of the issues being you don't know, at least a middle class content creator like myself. I'm not a Joe Bart. I'm not a Queso. Whenever I get a video that does well, or I get a month where I get a good amount of money, I don't know when it's going to happen again. And there's no security with that. Like, yes, there's benefits. Yes, there's like good moments, but there's no consistency. Like, you can make a certain amount one month and then make a completely different amount the next month. And that's hard because when you do get wins, they feel good, but it's very, 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 very temporary. It's very temporary. Like, I posted an animation on the gaming channel and it flopped. It's not profitable at all. The last animation wasn't profitable either. And I'm just like, damn. Like, you get this feeling of like unsatisfaction that you have to grind and grind and grind and grind and grind to reach again. Like, you grind and grind and grind. You do good, you fall, you do it again, good, you fall. You do that over and over and over again. And in my head right now, yo, when I get Joe Bart Queso level, I'm not gonna have to feel that anymore. At least that's what I think in my head. But then like I think about it, I'm like, damn, what if the feeling of like constantly chasing never goes away? And I don't know, like it feels like it's an unsolved dilemma in my head. But I do feel like it's solved by smelling the freaking roses and just like appreciating what you have. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not complaining though, because I'm super blessed, but it's hard. It's hard. The constant grind is exhausting. It's exhausting. I don't have a life. I don't have a life. I don't have a life at all. I don't, bro. I don't do shit but this, bro. And just smell the roses, man. Smell the roses. Smell the roses. What's good, nerd? Yo, VIP nerd if you can, Jay.
Mouthwashing comments a lot on what makes a person happy. On the good life society pushes to people where you get a job and have a family. Mm-hmm. On the cycle of giving so much of oneself to working in order to chase that ideal. And then, how difficult it can be to accept when that ideal doesn't make you happy. When all
the constant chasing of things,
that work pushing to get there.
If you're constantly chasing and spending all of your time chasing, you're not going to know when to stop chasing. And you're also not going to appreciate what you achieve because you're spending too much time chasing.
Didn't feel worth it. And the feelings of uncertainty that come when not knowing what to do next. What can you do? Daisuke died having barely gotten started in that cycle, and Swansea ends contemplating what might have been had he never started it.
I can't take a Corey break. If I do that, I will fall off. Like, again, that goes back into what I was saying earlier. Like, with other people who are more like solidified, they can do that. They can do that. And I hope I do that well, not to that extent. I don't think I want to take like month-long breaks or whatever. But like, I can't. Like, I ain't gonna lie. If I took a break right now, finances accounted for, 2 months max. 2 months max. And again, I'm acknowledging privilege. Like, not a lot of people can be okay if they lost their job for 2 months. So I'm not taking that for granted at all. But I'm saying, like, I'm kind of stuck. Like, I do have to constantly chase the next 1 out of 10 video, the next 200K video. You feel me? Oops, I pressed the wrong button.
That cycle, and Swansea ends contemplating what might have been had he never started it. Swansea wishes he could have protected Daisuke. Jimmy tells him that he's gonna save them all.
Ah, shut up.
And then shoots Swansea in the head.
Good God.
We seem to return to reality. Swansea is dead, tied to a chair in the utility room.
How did Jimmy get him tied to a chair? Oh, I said his name.
Strangely, the foam does not appear to have broken 3 of the pods in this moment. This might be another example of the game showing us that Jimmy is an unreliable narrator.
Oh, that's fire. Oh, that's fire. So there was like 4 pods.
Now,
that's
Jimmy
fire.
leaves the room, walking through a psychotic version of the ship's hulls.
Oh, wow, I didn't peep that. Oh my God. Yo, I'm so glad I didn't see that. 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 Oh my God.
In which Curly's eyes are watching him from every angle.
The way it cuts anytime wasted sperm does something violent is another way that he ducks responsibility. I didn't think about that.
Jimmy enters a large area where the most iconic scene in the game takes place.
This is iconic to y'all. This made me want to throw up.
Curly and Jimmy are the last 2 alive, and Jimmy is dead set on keeping it that way. In a vile act of forced survival, Jimmy repeatedly shoves a chunk of Curly's leg into his own mouth. Despite Curly's best efforts to resist, Jimmy, again ignoring the prospect of using himself as a form of nutrients, forces Curly to survive by cannibalizing himself. All so that Jimmy can feel like the hero that kept him alive.
Oh. Mexican Jordans did that so he could feel like he's doing something. I get it. Wait, no, Skull, don't do the clip. It spoils the game.
Jimmy then has a psychotic meltdown scene in which Curly offers to be the villain and take all the responsibility, allowing Jimmy to be the better man.
No, I'm not saying Mexicans. I'm saying Mexican Jordan, them ugly ass Jordans. Not like that. That's not a shot to actual Mexicans. What the hell? Come on, lock in.
And in the end, Jimmy claims they can both still be heroes. Curly,
the 2 worst characters in the game, by the way,
being the person Jimmy respected most on the ship, is the only one who which he feels willing to apologize. Not to Anya, who he assaulted, not to Daisuke, who he sent to his death, and not to Swansea, who he personally killed. He's stuck in a delusion that if he can save Curly, the only person he views as a true hero, and he can still redeem himself. And in thinking this, he refuses to acknowledge that Curly surely wishes to die. He selfishly keeps Curly moving so that he can pretend he fixed even a
lukewarm soda is literally not giving Curly the one thing that he wants. Imagine wanting to be gone and someone is repeatedly feeding you your own leg, bro.
single aspect of his many grievous mistakes.
Him crying didn't do nothing for me, bro. I'm sorry. Shut up.
Jimmy breaks down in tears.
Shut up. Shut up. Bro is crying so performative.
We then cut to the vent again, in which Jimmy confronts a giant red mass, which contains several horse fetuses.
This was so demented, bro.
This represents Jimmy's original sin, and the one he had refused to acknowledge over the course of the entire story. Referencing his joke about being sexually interested in horses, he now interacts with
That's sexually... Got it. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Polly, the company mascot, as the embodiment of his unborn child. He must embrace a centipede amalgamation of Polly, coming in contact with it instead of running.
This scared the hell out of me.
He then passes through a hall of the employee licenses. Noticeably, all of Anya's are obscured by the others. This further emphasizes his rejection of what he did to her, and of her as a person.
How you do that to someone and then refuse to acknowledge it because you're scared? Imagine how scared the other person is. That's so crazy. That's so crazy. That's so crazy.
The only one on board he placed miles beneath himself so that he could feel important. Polly, the baby incarnate, reveals Jimmy's feelings of being trapped and misunderstood as a result of the pregnancy. The idea of Anya informing the others made him feel like a victim.
Dickhead.
Whose reputation was being damaged by, in his own words, one mistake. He doesn't deserve to be punished for that. He's being punished for the baby existing at all, he thinks. Through all these feelings of hopelessness, villainizing, stressful responsibility, Jimmy never once apologized to Anya. Instead, redirecting all of his guilty feelings toward Curly. At this point, he likely feels that he has to, as his mind is rejecting the idea of dying a horrible failure. Even if a deep part of him is haunted by his actions, his ability to redeem himself, to come out on top of that mistake, died alongside Anya.
Why are you so concerned with Curly?
Curly takes her place. Jimmy takes Curly from the med bay and brings him to the lounge, where his sorry piece is the last one standing. He places him on the table, the seats occupied by the crew's corpses. They cheer him as captain, happy and clearly valuing him as they had Curly.
I'm dreaming about this game tonight. And I'm not going to sleep. This is so unfortunate. This is so unfortunate. I'm not sleeping well tonight. I'm taking a break from horror. I'm taking a break. I'm taking a break. This game was too much.
Jimmy cuts off Curly's leg and puts it on each person's plate.
Yep. Does Jimmy eat it?
And addresses him. He speaks of Curly being wealthier than them all, but being so high up that he didn't need to struggle to get food.
Ah, shut up!
Saying that he would rather die than be on their level. He plays out a scene in which he heroically saves everyone by sacrificing the big bad Curly, but also mercifully forgives and wishes to save him as well.
Yeah, when he said us, I got pissed off, bro.
The ultimate hero's fantasy, in which the underdog Jimmy saves the day. Jimmy places Curly into the one functioning cryopod. He feels satisfaction in thinking he has made it up to Curly, the one person he truly looks up to, and the one
I didn't feel satisfaction for this.
Person who was unable to tell him how absolutely insane he is, how much he's fucked up every aspect of the story. There is no happy ending, or grand comeuppance. Jimmy ends the story believing he has won forgiveness.
And that makes me so sick. That makes me so sick.
That he has fixed the problem. Curly is serving as his mouthwash, a superficial remedy he used to cover up everything he doesn't want to accept about himself. He turns on the cryopod and walks off screen.
Should have showed it to me. I ain't gonna lie.
He shoots himself and dies. Curly is slowly frozen, made to wait the next 20 years to possibly be forced again into the living hell that is his existence. In the end, the mouthwash represents the company's priorities of profit over people. Even that 0.1% of germs or a single pixel can corrupt an entire image, should it continue to spiral. Even one mistake can become the entirety of a person. Mouthwashing is such an interesting game, because none of its characters are perfect.
I think this was the heaviest game I played on the channel. I can't think of a game though. Off of heavy themes, I think The only other games that I've played that have like come close, Bad Parenting was rough. Bad Parenting was definitely rough. I don't know. One thing apparently I want to say is still a theory is that every time you walk past Polly and Mascot, it makes a sound. So Anya would sleep there at night to warn her who was walking past. Wow, I didn't think about that.
Its jumbled method of
I played Bad Parenting a while ago. It's on Yo-Yo EXE.
presenting scenes makes the viewer question their initial assumption about what's going on. It's not often we get to play the villain. The game's commentary on feeling helpless when the prescribed steps to happiness don't work, it's pretty hard. Especially in a society where work seems to take up so much of our lives. I'm sure there's a ton more in the game that fans will be reading into for quite a while. Thanks for joining me on this little analysis. If you enjoyed, check out my original playthrough of Mouthwashing, or give a like, comment, or subscribe. See you next time. Bye.
Yo, man. Yo, bro. What a freaking game. What a game. And now I can say that with even more understanding of it, bro. Wow. That was one of them ones, bro. That was one of them ones, bro. Hey, man. If you guys liked the video, hope you guys liked it. Check out other videos on the channel. I'll catch you guys in the next video. It's gonna be it from me. Peace. Hey, thank you for watching the video. Be sure to check out other types of videos that I make. I got Yo-Yo EXE for gaming, Not Yo-Yo 808 for reactions every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. I got Yo-Yo 808 Plus for daily reactions and the long videos like Binging Digital Circus or Binging FNAF lore. And Not Yo-Yo Live for my VODs in case you ever miss streams. And just a bunch of reacts get thrown up over there randomly too. That's gonna be everything. I hope you have a good day. Peace.